I'm curious how I could translate this to organization development in supporting organizations in their transformations in alignment with the five laws, and for people to be able to realize their talents and passions in realizing this bigger goal and creating abundance. I'm also curious how the Trinity manifests in the organizations, especially the neutral one. Thank you.
Well, again, by using the formula, one of the aspects of your life that starts to shape your life is synchronicity. You start to realize that everything is synchronicity. You look at it and experience it in a sense, first and foremost, from a neutral point of view, just recognizing that everything is an orchestration. Everything is connected. There are no accidents. And from that neutral observation that everything is connected, everything is an expression of one thing, then you can start allowing the expression of emotion to ride along with it, to feel the joy of that connection, the joy of that orchestration, the ecstasy of those interconnected communications, and allow yourself to experience the idea of the reflection of synchronicity in your life that says, do this first, do this next, do this now, 1, 2, 3. By bringing the experiences to you in the order in which they contain the highest amount of passion, the highest amount of attraction, the highest amount of curiosity, creativity, inspiration, and joy. Let it organize things in that way. That's how you do that, until suddenly you start functioning in pure synchronism, being always at the right place at the right moment in exactly the perfect timing, interacting with exactly who you need to interact with, doing exactly what you need to do at that particular perfect moment in time. It will happen that way eventually. It may take some practice, that's okay. Let the process unfold naturally. But basically, that's how you do it. You start from the neutral place of understanding everything is an orchestration, whether it appears to be or not. There are no accidents. Everything is connected. There's a reason why everything is happening. It may not always have to do mostly with you. You may be participating in something for someone else, getting something out of it that's more important for them than it is for you personally. But that doesn't mean it's not important that you participate in a gathering that may help someone else make a realization that helps their soul grow and move forward on their path. It's still a dance. It's still an orchestration. You're there for a reason. It's not an accident where you find yourself. So once you start acknowledging it from that balanced point, that neutral point, then you can start finding the things that are personally synchronistic for you as well, because you're included in that dance. And if you open up to it, opportunities and situations will arise that will contain the passion, the curiosity, the attractiveness that will let you know, all right, this one is for you, and this one is for you. But you will still participate in things that are for others as well, because part of the idea is that you are of service to humanity by being part of the orchestration. And then your life just gets organized that way.
Hello.
Good day. Good day.
Good day to you. Nice to meet you, Bashar.
And you as well. What would you like to discuss this day?
Yes. I have a question concerning out-of-body experience.
Yes.
And I've been having many experiences actually, in where I am in the vibrational state at the gate, let's say at the door of moving out of my body.
Yeah.
And also multiple experiences in which I was outside of my body, floating at the ceiling, floating on top of my house.
All right. So what's your question?
My question is, I'm a very curious person, curious being, and I want to explore that realm. But I've never been able, because it happens spontaneously, I've never been able to control it or put myself at ease that I can go easily out of my body.
But you say you're already experiencing being out of your body. So when you actually experience being out of your body, What do you do?
Well, when I'm stuck.
How are you
I just
stuck? How do you think you need to explore other realms?
by moving my
No,
energetic body
no,
somewhere.
no, not by moving. All you have to do is imagine being in another place and you'll be there. You're thinking of it in physical terms. I have to move. You don't. You just have to imagine feeling that you're somewhere else. Picture that you're somewhere else and you will be there. Movement is not the same in those realms as it is in physical reality. So you can't think of it in the way that you would think of it if you were a physical being.
Mm.
So the next time you find
So
yourself,
imagine-
the next time you find yourself floating on the ceiling or floating above your house, imagine another place that you're familiar with, someplace on your planet, or even imagine being out among the stars or being above the earth. Just picture it and you'll be there.
All right.
That's all you have to do.
That's very helpful. Thank you.
Yes.
I would also like to ask another question.
Yes.
And it's concerning here on Earth, at a certain point in life, people start to have children.
Yes,
That's
sometimes.
a natural thing that occurs. But I'm 32 right now. Many friends of mine having kids, and I love kids. It's such a joy.
Yes.
But I'm doubtful. And I was wondering,
You're doubtful about what?
to have or not have children.
Then don't worry about it. If you've made an agreement to have children, nothing will stop it from happening at the exact correct time. If you haven't made an agreement to have children, then you won't have children. Just let your life unfold by following the formula, following your passion, and let it happen when you've already agreed that it should, because those things have already been determined by your spirit before you incarnated.
Mm-hmm. And what about birth control? If I take the pills, then I won't,
Don't worry about that either. Again, if you're supposed to have children, then something will happen where you either wind up not taking it and you'll feel that you don't wish to take it, or it won't matter that you take it because things that are supposed to happen can supersede some of the physical elements on your planet anyway. There have been many people that have been told by your doctors they cannot have children, and yet they do. So don't worry about the idea of the physical parameters. Something will synchronistically occur that will make it possible if you've made that agreement. All you have to do is go with the flow and just trust your feelings and instincts at every given moment.
I will. That
All
was a
right.
nice thing to hear.
Don't worry about it.
All right. One last question. I'm a dancer and my life is dancing. I teach dance, I perform.
Yes.
And I notice in the world, the arts in any way, shape, or form are very a necessity, are very well here on this earth. And I was wondering what the meaning of arts in any shape or form is on an earthly level or on a cosmic level.
Art is a basis for self-reflection, for communication, to put one in touch with oneself and how one responds to the art.
Mm-hmm.
So art is a mirror.
Yes. And do you have arts in other?
Absolutely. Many different kinds. I myself am a sculptor, as well as being a first contact specialist.
And how does that visualize? What does that look like?
There are many different things it can look like. We can form certain materials spontaneously that are nanomaterials, what you would call a kind of metallic crystalline substance that can be formed into many different shapes. And the idea is that certain sculptures can be made so that they change shape with the person that is observing it, to literally reflect what is going on in that person in their observation of it. So it literally functions like a kind of symbolic mirror.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, the art that is being shaped by what the person that's looking at it.
Yes.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yes, we think
And I
so.
hope I can experience that.
There are forms that you can create that will react and respond to people in different ways. Some of it may include electronics and so on and so forth, until such time as you actually develop physical materials that will respond the way I am telling you ours respond. But there are many ways to do it. So use your creative imagination and see what you can come up with. Certainly, dance itself is something that can be interactive and a two-way street, so that the response of the audience can change the way that you dance in the moment, if you are receptive to the mood of the audience.
Ooh, that's a very nice inspiration.
All right. See
Thank
what
you
you can
so
do
much.
with that.
Yes. Thank you so much, Bashar.
You are so welcome. Anything else?
No, that's it for today.
All right. Then happy dancing.
Thank you so much.
Greetings, Bashar. I was wondering if you could kindly discuss with us what a typical day entails for an adult being on your planet. The reason I'm interested in is most adult humans, especially in the West, have to wear different hats on a given day, between, dividing our time between sleeping, working, being, a family member, such as a parent, a kid, a sibling, etc., and creating some personal time off to find more joy in life. Sometimes it's a bit tricky to wear all these hats, so I was wondering if you would have any words of wisdom in terms of compartmentalizing our day to find that joy, to create that joy more. Thank you.
Again, it's not about compartmentalizing. It's about allowing synchronicity to be the organizing principle so that one experience flows into another more naturally. It's not about finding time to experience personal joy. It's about choosing those things that allow you to experience personal joy in the entirety of your life, every moment, even though things may be different expressions at different times, and may be representative of different relationships that you have, and different communications and different experiences that you have, that all fall within the idea of your personal joy. It's not about saying, well, I have to do this and I have to do that, and I get these little tiny moments where I can be personal for myself to find joy for myself. If it's not all joyful, you're not going about it in the way that we suggest by following the formula, and you're not allowing synchronicity to be the organizing principle that allows you to flow smoothly from one event to the other, one experience to the other, in a way that is overall joyful for you. That means you're not being your natural self. So be your natural self. Follow the formula. Let synchronicity organize the things that are important and relevant for your life experience, and you will ultimately discover that every single one of those things can be experienced perhaps in a slightly different way than what you're doing it now, but can be experienced in a joyful way that's correct for you, as well as everyone else involved. What you have to understand is that the way to get over it is to realize, if you want to, that there are no negative extraterrestrials involved or engaged with your planet at this time. So, those of us that are engaged with your world and the evolution of humanity and what's going on your planet at this time, create a kind of bubble reality that is of a frequency where negative beings simply find that they are unable to perceive what's happening, unable to reach you. So even though there may be stories on your planet that sound very scary and fear-inducing, the literal truth is there are no negative entities engaged with humanity on your planet at this time. Only the stories that you make up because of the fears that come up within you, within humans, because of your exposure to higher frequencies that you simply may not yet be able to tolerate without going into survival panic mode. So it distorts the experiences in a way that creates a lot of scary stories, but the actuality is there are no negative extraterrestrial entities interacting with your planet at this time. So if you're willing to understand that, then you can get over the idea of being afraid that you will attract negative extraterrestrial entities through open contact. It simply will not occur.
Do you believe achieving contact is mainly vibration based? What is the best way to align with that frequency?
Follow the formula. Yes, of course it's vibration based. It's based on several different things, but it's also based not only on your life path, your soul's themes, but yes, physically, it's based on the idea of the upliftment of humanity vibrationally, raising your frequency to be able to meet us halfway, so to speak. So, yes.
And some of us imagine open contact involving a massive number of UFO ships appearing. However, this person had a dream that it will be different, more like floating orbs descending, carrying knowledge that could be understood telepathically while in their presence. Can you give us a hint on how that would be?
We will discuss this in the upcoming Sedona transmissions. Yes, you are right. It will not right away be hundreds and hundreds of ships because, as you say, that would freak many people out. So it will be a slow process, and what you have described to some degree is a part of it. But we will give you more specifics in the upcoming Sedona transmissions.
Are there any grays that are positively assisting us at this time? And also, if it is true that some grays are assisting us, how are they recognizable to us?
All grays are assisting you. There are no negative entities dealing with you at this time in that way.
Well, as your famous quote goes, circumstances does not create the state of being. State of being is what creates circumstances.
Yes.
I believe it to be true, but this makes me wonder how the Greys were able to create their own reality. Since the Greys gave up emotionality, how were they able to create their reality? I wonder how they were able to do this without the state of being component, let alone their technology to tunnel into other realities.
State of being does not necessarily mean primarily that it has to contain the idea of what you recognize as emotion. A hive mind mentality, a hive mind intention, hive mind focus is an extremely magnified state of being. And it is that intention and that focus of the hive mentality that they have created, even in giving up most of their emotionality, that allows them to create the reality that they are experiencing. So emotionality is not necessarily always a primary component as long as the focus and the intention supersedes it.
Speaking of the hive mentality, from a shamanic standpoint, if you were to tune into bees, what are some of the things they could help us understand about the hive mentality?
You have to look at it holistically. Again, though you experience it in linear space-time as I'm connected to this, from the hive mind, it is I am this. It's more like the idea of looking at yourself as a drop in the ocean. You understand that you can be a drop, but you understand that there really isn't a lot of differentiation between the drop and the rest of the water in the ocean. So it's something that's a more all-encompassing sense, an all-encompassing perspective. It's not that you belong to the hive, it's that you as an individual are the hive, and every individual in it sees themselves as the hive. That's why the focus and the intention and the orchestration and coordination are so automatic, and why they can act so synchronistically together, because each of them sees themselves as the hive. They have an intent, they have a focus that is shared completely by every single individual aspect of the hive, as if each individual is the hive and the only one having the intent and the focus to accomplish something.
That sounds very similar to the idea of when a human being raises their vibration in certain circumstances and actually can experience the sense of being of the collective, of that there's all these people in the collective, all these consciousnesses in the collective, but you can identify individual, you can sense they're all individual, but yet it's all one big collective consciousness experience.
Yes. Again, it is another form of absolute synchronism.
So that state of being where you're part of the collective, that would be, in a sense, very equivalent to the idea of being part of the, or experiencing the hive mind.
Yes. It's experiencing pure synchronicity. Everything is in lockstep. It is the intentional focus, the orchestration. It brings about the orchestration that creates everything to be exactly where it needs to be, when it needs to be there, in perfect timing. It's another way of doing it. We experience it with emotionality, but the Greys did not. But that wasn't necessary for the intention that they created. They created the reality that they needed to allow them to create the hybridization program that would allow their civilization to continue, and which you can take advantage of to allow your civilization to go in a different path than what the Greys took that destroyed their world. So that's the beneficial side effect of that harmonic, of that orchestration, is that you get to take advantage of what they're doing to preserve their own civilization, their own culture, by creating us hybrids. You get to take advantage of it so that you can decide that you have more options than they themselves saw that they had, that led them down the path of destruction, where they poisoned their version of Earth.
Great. This person is curious about the society on your home planet. What is the average lifespan of the Sasani people? Start with that.
About 300 of your years, as you understand time. But that's an average. There are some that might leave sooner. There are some that are much, much older, depending upon their soul's path and what it is they need to achieve. Again, as reference, my own father, still physically alive after 1,000 years.
And the next question this questioner is asking is, do you mate for life, or do your people explore multiple relationship dynamics in the same way that we do?
We don't explore them in the same way you do. We simply receive whatever is happening as what is supposed to be happening at that moment, since everyone is telepathically bonded and everyone understands the idea of consensus, and that if you are attracted to 1, 2, 3 people in different ways for different purposes, then we let it play out. There are no assumptions, impositions, or expectations on how relationships should be. We simply let the relationships serve the purposes that they come together to serve.
And are there any limitations on how many offspring you create?
Any limitations would simply be a part of the synchronicity as to what agreements have been made in spirit as to what serves the collective best.
And finally, you mentioned that your planet Essassani is in the general area of Orion, but which star does your planet orbit? Have we already identified it? Meaning, can we see it from here?
No, you cannot. We are in a parallel reality. Our reality is invisible to you unless you actually make a vibrational shift into our reality. And what we have said is that our star system is in the direction of the Orion constellation. It's not part of that constellation, but our system is not visible to you. No stars in our reality are visible to you. There might be some stars that we share, in a sense. In other words, we have versions of those stars in our reality that you have in your reality. But the idea is that we are invisible to one another unless we make a shift into the different parallel realities. So we are 500 light years in the direction of the Orion constellation that you're familiar with. But we are not part of the Orion constellation as you would understand it.
And do the Yael have a ship over Los Angeles? And are they connected to Dolphin, Whale, Sirius Energy?
Yes, they are, and yes, they do, and they have ships over many cities.
Okay, and this question is, oh, you want to tell us any more about that?
No, thank you.
Okay. What is the color of hybrid blood and also of Yael blood?
Red. Remember, we are another version of human.